When Caitlin Clark finally decided to break her silence, the entire WNBA ecosystem felt the shockwave. For nearly 2 seasons, fans had watched the league's biggest star absorb relentless physical punishment. Eye pokes, shoulder checks, jersey grabs, off-ball holds, and hard fouls that somehow never earned whistles. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't accidental, and it certainly wasn't isolated. What made Clark's response so powerful wasn't rage or accusation. It was precision. Instead of directly attacking WNBA referees, she did something far more devastating. She exposed the system by drawing a parallel to the NBA's most protected, yet still mistreated superstar, Steph Curry.
She can't help it. She can't help but blast the referees, and she has every right to. We have watched Caitlin Clark get absolutely brutalized. Since she stepped foot into the WNBA, she's been targeted. She's the most flagrantly fouled player in the league.
With one carefully worded comment, Caitlin Clark forced fans, analysts, and league officials to confront an uncomfortable truth. Basketball's most revolutionary shooters are being policed differently, not by the rules, but by tolerance for violence. From the moment Clark stepped onto a WNBA court, the tone was set.
Take another look as we try to figure out what exactly went down. So you see her get hit in the face. J.C. Sheldon doesn't like that, and everybody on the team doesn't like it. Marina, trying to have her teammates back, pushes her down. You see a little bit of drama all the way around. Tina, Charles, Clark, and Mabry, they received technical fouls. Sheldon received a flagrant 1 foul.
Lissa Thomas delivered a...
Defenders didn't just guard her, they hunted her. She was picked up full court, face guarded without the ball, grabbed through screens, bumped on landings, and struck across the arms and face while referees stood motionless. Early on, the league framed it as rookie adjustment or physical defense. But the incidents piled up too fast, too consistently, and too publicly to ignore. Deja Carrington lunged at Clark.
Okay, by now I'm sure you've seen Skylar Diggins assault. Caitlin Clark after Indiana blew out Seattle.
Meanwhile, Clark
and made direct contact with her eye. Clark stumbled back, visibly shaken. No wheezed. Months later, J.C. Sheldon struck Clark in the face again. This time, chaos erupted. Players collided. Tempers flared. Technical fouls were handed out generously to everyone except the person who initiated the contact. Sheldon received a flagrant 1, but only after outrage forced the official's hand. Then came the shoulder checks. Alyssa Thomas delivered a blow that sent Clark crashing to the floor. Exactly the kind of play that earns immediate flagrant reviews in other leagues. The officials down to a common foul, barely acknowledging the danger. Jackie Young struck Clark in the face during another matchup. Common foul. Skylar Diggins-Smith shoved Clark from behind near the bench. No call. Meanwhile, Clark received a technical foul for tapping the rim after missing a shot. The contrast was no longer debatable. It was systemic.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. You know, a minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
Defenders learned quickly that the rules didn't apply to Caitlin Clark the way they did to others. Hits to her shooting arm became standard. Contact her shoulder, wrist, and elbow happened every game. Off-ball holding escalated into something closer to wrestling. Jerseys were grabbed, arms were pinned, screens turned into ambushes. And through it all, referees watched, often positioned perfectly, often making eye contact, and chose silence. The message was clear. Physical punishment was allowed, even encouraged, as long as the target was Clark. This wasn't just about one player. The environment...
Well, it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. You know, and when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively. And, you know, we didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So they took us out of our comfort zone. I mean, offense is about rhythm, it's about timing, it's about spacing. We allowed them to do that, and they kept us from doing it.
Even
poisoned the entire Indiana Fever roster. Lexi Hull took an elbow to the face, foul called on Hull. Aaliyah Boston absorbed relentless contact in the paint, the kind that would spark reviews anywhere else. Coach Stephanie White finally had enough. She didn't speculate. She brought receipts. A -31 free throw disparity during playoff games. Attacks at the rim without whistles. Physicality ignored on one end, rewarded on the other. Egregious, she called it. Disrespectful. When a head coach starts tracking numbers publicly, the illusion of neutrality collapses. Even broadcasters broke character. Rebecca Lobo openly called out missed foul.
We watched Caitlin Clark get guarded 94 feet full court in an all-star game. All the nonsense, Kennedy Carter and all this stuff that was going on, targeted. If anybody deserves to take shots at the referees on all levels, it's Caitlin Clark. Kathy Engelbert, you did a terrible job of fixing the problem. You know, you definitely did a terrible job with that.
During live games, comparing them to Oprah handing out cars. Grab, foul, foul, foul. When Hall of Fame analysts stop protecting the product, it means the problem is no longer manageable behind closed doors. Behind the scenes, the damage was growing. Colin Clark, Caitlin's brother, directly blamed officiating failures for the environment that contributed to her quad strain. And he wasn't Roe. Refs had multiple opportunities every game to draw lines, to protect players, to enforce standards. It chose not to. The violence wasn't accidental. It was enabled. Then came Caitlin Clark's response. She didn't rage. She didn't accuse. She studied. She watched how Steph Curry.
Caitlin Clark did not mince words about Golden State Warriors star Steph Curry. Clark has acknowledged Curry's impact on her game, citing him as a player who she has admired. They the only one shooting from the parking lot. They shooting from the parking lot out there somewhere, okay? I grew up watching Steph play, said Caitlin Clark. She said after a game against the Golden State Valkyries last season, he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. What he's been able to do in his career, he's changed basketball. It's cool to be here. He's somebody I idolize.
Curry.
The NBA's most influential shooter was defended. Grabbed off ball, held through screens, face guarded beyond half court, fouled without whistles. And then she spoke. We want to see Steph making 12 threes a game. Stop grabbing him, please. On the surface, it sounded harmless. A fan praising a legend. But anyone paying attention understood immediately. Clark wasn't defending Curry. She was defending herself. She weaponized the NBA's biggest name to shine a light on what she couldn't say directly. Curry's credibility became her shield. His experience became her evidence. And the parallel was undeniable. Curry himself has spoken openly about the frustration. He admits the physical defense is
like Curry. Clark's presence alone forces defenses to adjust well before she crosses half court. Those similarities resurfaced on Sunday after Curry made headlines for the way the Charlotte Hornets defended him, frequently grabbing, holding, and face guarding him far from the ball. That sounds exactly like Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Grabbing, holding, being face guarded, most flagrantly fouled, being targeted, all of this stuff.
Real
Her
basketball,
timing was certain.
but also recognizes that commanding such attention is a twisted compliment. He's learned how to adapt, how to stay effective, how to survive it. Clark saw herself in those words. Two shooters who changed the geometry of the court. Two players guarded before crossing half court. Two athletes punished physically because referees allowed defenders to test the limits. Her timing was surgical. She responded to a viral video where Curry described being grabbed relentlessly against Charlotte. Despite winning, he scored just 14 points because defenders held him constantly without consequence. Clark watched and recognized the mirror. Let them cook, she implied. Stop allowing physical suppression of creativity. The league understood immediately. That comment wasn't accidental. It was a declaration. Clark had found a way to call out officiating corruption without giving the league grounds to punish her. And it worked. Meanwhile, the contrast in officiating grew even more glaring. During the WNBA semifinals, Aya Wilson went to the free throw line 10 times in one game. Aaliyah Boston, who dominated the paint.
She gets it way worse than Steph Curry get it, though. Let's be clear. She get treated like she on a prison yard. She get treated like fresh meat on the prison yard. That's what Caitlin Clark gets treated like in the WNBA, all while making all these ladies all this money and getting them popular and got people watching them that wasn't watching them before.
The strategy worked because
Shot twice. Wilson struggled from the field, finishing 6 for 20, yet received whistle after whistle. Boston fought for rebounds, played through contact, and fouled out on calls that barely existed. Illegal screens, moving pivots, double dribbles, travels. ESPN called them highlights. The refs ignored them. Coach White called Boston the worst officiated post player in the league. The math didn't add up unless bias was part of the equation. Illegal screens became routine. Legs extended, hips thrust, defenders flattened. No calls. Each one led to open threes. Momentum.
Throughout her WNBA career, she has routinely faced aggressive coverage, constant ball pressure, and extended defensive attention designed to limit her shooting opportunities. Still, like Clurry, Clark has continued to adopt impacting games through playmaking, off-ball movement, and drawing defensive attention that opens space for teammates.
Aja Wilson
and wins. Fever players absorbed contact all night. Kelsey Mitchell got hacked until she cramped. No Guises. Meanwhile, star treatment flowed freely elsewhere. The message was unmistakable. Certain jerseys get protection, others don't. And then Caitlin Clark got hurt. The league felt it immediately. Fever games averaged over 1.8 million viewers when she played. Without her, numbers collapsed by over 50%. Ticket sales dipped. Engagement dropped. Sponsors noticed. Adam Silver noticed. The WNBA's revenue engine stalled. And suddenly the cost of ignoring officiating problems became real. Clark's absence during All-Star Weekend exposed the truth the league didn't want to admit. She isn't just a star. She's the system's heartbeat. Now, every missed call is magnified. Every non-whistle is clipped, shared, analyzed. Fans know what to look for. Media scrutiny has sharpened. Coaches are no longer quiet. The accountability didn't exist before Clark spoke. Now it's unavoidable. The 2026 season looms with everything on the line. Clark returns with public support, league-wide attention, and leverage she's never had before. Every game tests whether officials learned or whether they double down. The league faces a choice: protect the player driving its growth or probe. What makes Caitlin Clark's situation even more explosive is that it exposes a contradiction at the very heart of the WNBA's messaging. The league has spent years promoting itself as progressive, player-first, and committed to growth. Yet when its most valuable asset arrived, an athlete capable of pulling millions of new viewers, sponsorship dollars, and cultural relevance, the league failed to protect her in the most basic way possible. Instead of safeguarding the player driving unprecedented attention, officials allowed an environment where excessive physicality became the accepted counter-strategy. This wasn't defense. It was deterrence. Opponents didn't hide the plan. Guard Clark early. Bump her constantly. Grab her off the ball. Make every possession uncomfortable. Force referees to choose between calling the game correctly or letting it play out. And once referees chose silence, the strategy became league-wide. Coaches noticed. Players noticed. Fans noticed. Physical pressure escalated not because Clark was unstoppable, but because officials proved they would tolerate it. The psychological impact of this kind of officiating cannot be overstated. Basketball rhythm depends on trust. Players trust that when they drive, when they cut, when they elevate, the rules will be enforced consistently. When that trust erodes, hesitation creeps in. Clark adapted, but adaptation comes at a cost. She had to release shots faster, absorb contact on landings, pass out of looks she normally converts. And still, she produced. That's what made the situation so revealing. Even under targeted physical pressure, Clark remained one of the league's most efficient and impactful players. But survival is not the same as fairness. The league's defenders often argue that Clark draws attention because she's dangerous. That logic collapses under scrutiny. All stars draw attention. That's the point. The difference is enforcement. In properly officiated environments, defensive pressure stops.